Okay, so we just calculated the employer's FICA for Medicare. Next thing I want you to think about is the employer's federal unemployment tax. How much are we going to have to pay for federal unemployment tax? Well, going to the next screen here, we can see that Kramer has zero. We have to pay zero for Kramer's federal unemployment tax. Now, do you know why that is? As you recall, the max payroll for any given employee in a calendar year that is subject to unemployment tax is $7,000. Well, if you look at Kramer's gross pay up to this pay period there, you see he's made $98,000. So we haven't had to pay, the company, Kid Company, has not had to pay federal unemployment tax for some time on Kramer's payroll because he's been over that $7,000 ceiling for quite a period of time. That's why our burden is zero on Kramer's payroll for federal unemployment. On the other hand, Ross has only made $4,000 so far. So he hasn't reached that $7,000 cap yet. So Ross's $1,200 that he made this pay period are indeed subject to federal unemployment tax. So as you can see by our calculations down here, we took his $1,200 times the 0.8%. Now that's 0.8 of 1%, and it comes to $9.60 is all that Ross's payroll is subject to federal unemployment tax. Again, let me emphasize this $9.60 is the employer. It's Kid Company's burden. We do not deduct that from employees' paychecks. Employees are not subject to unemployment tax. That's an employer burden. All right, the next thing is the second unemployment tax, and that is state unemployment. And again, you can see Kramer is zero there because he's made over the $7,000. And you see Ross, we take his $1,200 times the 6%, and that's $72. So Kid Company will have to pay $72 for Ross's state unemployment tax. All right, next, let's calculate each employee's net pay. We're all interested in our net pay, aren't we? And so let's take Ross, let's take Kramer, let's deduct out all of their employee deductions and come up with their net pay. And this is what we get. You see Kramer's pay was $3,000 there, minus the $600. What was the $600? That was federal income tax, wasn't it? And then minus the $180 there, and that is state income tax. And then subtract out the $45. What was the $45? Let's see, was that was Medicare FICA. Subtract out the $124, which was Social Security FICA, and subtract out the $43.50, and you get a net pay of $2,007.50. Do the same thing with Ross. We take the $1,200 minus all of his deductions and get the $948.20. So you might take a second here and just confirm all those numbers, make sure you know where all those numbers came from, and that you indeed can calculate net pay. Last thing I want to calculate is what's the payroll cost of Kid Company. If you own a company, that's something you're pretty concerned about. As you well know, if you pay an employee $20 an hour, let's say, or whatever it may be, it's going to cost you a lot more than that $20 per hour to employ that employee. So the last thing we're going to calculate then is employers' payroll-related cost. So all I've done here is I have simply taken each employee's gross payroll, the $3,000 for Kramer and the $1,200 for Ross, and then I just added in all of the additional employer costs there. And I'll get out of the way there so you can look at that and see if you can confirm where all those numbers came from in your mind. And as usual, If you don't know where some of those numbers came from, post it to the discussion board, and we'll see if I can come up with where those numbers come from. Well, you know what? This is your last video. You're on Chapter 11. You're done with the class. Good job, and maybe I'll see some of you in an Accounting 2 class. And if you have any questions, post them to the discussion board.